Hello, welcome to the Fruit of Our Labor. My name is Yesenia Sanchez, and I would like to start making videos to show you guys and teach you guys some of the things that I've learned through gardening and rainwater harvesting and just the different research that I've done to be able to grow here in Pahrump. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, where I wasn't taught to grow anything, or I didn't learn it on my own either. The only thing I remember growing is a bean in like 5th grade, I think, maybe earlier, but that's about it. And my mom never grew anything. She had a couple house plants that she managed to keep alive, and my grandma, my mom's mom, she enjoys growing stuff and mainly flowers, but my mom was always irritated at the fact that she had to water flowers that she wasn't gonna eat, and I'm pretty sure some of them were edible, but not anything they knew that they could eat. And so in Vegas, I didn't, life is different in Vegas. It was go to work, come home, be on the phone or cook food, and that was about it. It wasn't like, let's go outside and try and grow something. But there's people that are motivated and do grow even when they're in the city. And I'm in Pahrump now, and it's been like 5 years. 5 years in like 4 months. And I became a stay-at-home mom, and we moved into this house that is 0.19 of an acre. I don't know what fraction that is.
Why are you doing that on your phone?
Because it has more memory.
Because you got a new?
And so we moved to Pahrump, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I always thought that you needed a lot of property to be able to grow your own stuff and have small animals like chickens. And I was wrong. I started doing research on what I could do with the amount of property we had here, and I was finding a lot of urban gardens and a lot of information on that on YouTube. And so I started digging into that through books, through YouTube videos, and just wanting to learn a way where it didn't have to take me so much effort to be able to grow my own food. And so I started finding out ways like removing all the gravel that was here, because it was all gravel, and started replacing it with wood chips. And so that was like 4 years ago when I started doing that. And so that was kind of my first step to want to go towards this goal of wanting to grow my own food for my family, and because I wanted my kids to be able to come out and just eat, what they saw growing. So my intention was only to, if I'm gonna be working as hard as I am, and the point is not to work hard, but sometimes it does require you have to do work, like how I had to move all the gravel that was here and replace it with wood chips, and had to acquire, at first I was acquiring wood chips from tree trimmers in Vegas, and but eventually I got connected with somebody here in Pahrump. Shout out to him, because he's blessed us with a lot of wood chips, and so that's helped a lot to retain the moisture, because here it gets really hot in the summer, and even in the winter it helps to protect the roots. And so removed all the gravel, replaced it with wood chips little by little, and trust me, I didn't remove the gravel all at one time. I started with the front yard, and and did some parts here in the backyard. And I've just done so many different things to try and grow food and to see how it would best grow here. And the different methods I had to approach, because there's nobody living on either side of us or behind us, and so there's chipmunks that burrow under the ground and build their little tunnels and gophers that like to come eat the roots of the plants. And so when we moved here, my father-in-law had given us mint, lemongrass, and a aloe plant. And so that's what I had started with. And I would water it. But I mean, I didn't know much, but I would water it to make sure it wasn't gonna die. And then the stuff was dying, and I had no idea why. And then one day the aloe plant it had been there for days, and it was just dead and dry. And when I'm like, I got to clean this up, I better just get rid of it. And so I picked it up, and the whole bottom of the root was eaten. And I'm like, huh? There was like a little tunnel going towards the root of the aloe plant. I'm like, wow, this explains the death of this aloe. So I'm like, man, how am I gonna get around? How am I gonna grow stuff successfully without the chipmunks or the gophers getting to the roots? Because I had even planted some cactus, and even that, it was gone. The chipmunks were getting to it. And so it was kind of frustrating, and in a sense wanted to give up. You know, maybe I'd just buy my food at the grocery store. But there was this drive in me wanting to keep trying to figure out ways. I'm sure there was ways. And so they have wire called gopher basket wire, which is almost like chicken wire, but with smaller holes. And then there's this lady. I don't have gopher wire.
No, the chicken wire. Look at the chickens. Surprise.
And so then I found the lady that has her YouTube channel. I think it's called like Robin Gary. They're out of California. I don't know if it's southern or northern. I can't remember. But her husband started calling the wood chip companies, and they asked him how many wood chips he wanted. He said, all you can bring. And sure enough, they were bringing all they could bring, because they would rather dump it at somebody's house than go to the dump and get charged and have to pay a service fee in order to dump their wood chips at the dump. And so they were getting a lot of wood chips, and she was like, oh my gosh, never asked for all you can bring wood chips. And so I started watching her, and she has a lot of good tips and efficient ways. The Robin Gary channel.
Who is Robin Gary?
And so she recommended for the gophers, or even putting. Can you bring me that wire basket, Mama?
Which color?
The black one. She suggested if you have like problems with rabbits coming to eat your
Let me
food,
show them. Let me show
or
them.
even planting stuff in the ground, there's these wire baskets they sell at Dollar Tree, and they're only $1. And so the idea of that is that you could cover your plant, sort of like I do there, the peas. Cover the peas so we have mice here, and so they'll munch it away.
Some block.
The mice come and eat the chicken feed. And so, but that protects it from even the chipmunks. I haven't really seen chipmunks anymore, but
Two hot, with 2 blocks high, so I can sit on their
bring your chair. And so that I started planting my stuff in those wire baskets, like my cactus, and even my smaller fruit trees that I started planting, like my fig, the peaches, the apricot, the jujubes. Well, the jujubes I think I made a hole and then put chicken wire. The chipmunks could still get through that, but those trees are more established now, so it's gonna be harder for them to get through that. So anyways, I started finding ways where I could be successful, and I wasn't gonna give up, because I like the idea of having to be able to go outside my house and harvesting stuff that you can't find at the grocery stores. And so my mom, actually, and how it started was me wanting to do that for my family. And my mom had a neighbor that enjoyed gardening, and so she had seeds, and she gifted some to my mom and my brother. Kathy
the neighbor.
Kathy gave us seeds, and so there were like leafy greens and cilantro, and so I sprouted those, and that's how it started. And it wasn't too successful. I was growing them in containers with probably poor soil, and I didn't have red wigglers because I didn't know about them yet until I researched that also, of how to make the soil richer without having to buy all these liquid nutrients that really only feeds the plants. And the idea is for you to be able to feed the soil. Feed the soil, and the soil will feed your plants. And so I started with 1 pound of red wiggler worms, and maybe it was even less than that, maybe like 250 for like $25. I ordered them on Amazon, and I made my little bin, a plastic tote bin, and drilled my holes and started my worm compost. And that was so much fun. Hey.
He's the one who.
And so we've got worms everywhere now. And yeah, I don't have to be feeding my plants with liquid fertilizers, or even, I don't even use pesticides. I try to keep it the most natural way possible, and we love our worms. They work hard for us. And so I want to be able to come on here and show you guys the ways the way I do things here in my garden, and how I try to, in a sense, make less waste, like with the rainwater and our compost bins, our food waste, in ways that can help us and benefit our earth. It helps me to be a good steward and be conscious of what I'm throwing away and where it needs to go, and just being grateful when it rains, to be able to have that water, that fresh water for my plants, which is what they prefer. But it doesn't get to rain too often here, but I am able to collect a nice amount of water to water my plants, even though I do have an irrigation system. So when it doesn't rain, it can get watered without me having to worry about, oh, my plants haven't got watered today, because it can get really hot here in the summer, and if you don't water, one day your plants are gone. And so I don't know if you guys have any questions. I'll be doing a tour of what I have growing right now, and my fruit trees, and the systems I've put in place, like my compost, my worm compost bin, and my rainwater harvesting system, and even my gray water system. My washer water goes out to my trees, and my sink water goes out to my plants out here. There's nothing planted here. It was I'll show you. I planted, this was my tropical tree area, and those failed miserably. I tried my best. They survived the summer, but they didn't survive the winter, even though I surrounded it with frost cloth. But I didn't want to go through the trouble of wrapping each tree with Christmas lights or whatever people do. It gets too cold here, and so maybe in the future I'll try that again, but I would rather build a microclimate, a more efficient microclimate. That way I don't have to put in as much effort and have to waste electricity and all that. So yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, and another thing that got me thinking into doing the best that I could with the with the
Welcome.
money I made,
Welcome.
or that I would work hard to make.
To the chicken?
So thinking wisely and intentionally of what I spend my money on. So I came home one day after being in California with my husband's family, and my mother-in-law had given me money to go spend at the mall, right? And so I bought these shirts, and I came home and I was telling my brother about it, and he looked at me kind of like, "That's what you spent your money on?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's wrong with that?" I was so used to, just buying clothes and shoes and not really investing. It was just kind of like, I wouldn't say throwing your money away. I wouldn't say that buying clothes and shoes is throwing your money away. But if I had enough of that already, why am I still spending money on that? Ahorita que venga papi. Ya viene papi.
Hey, do not put that on your head. You're gonna get juice on your head.
And so my brother really gave me a talk of like, and he's younger than Sammy. He's younger than me, and so it was kind of caught me off guard, like hearing that from him. Like, who are you? You are my brother, yes, but who are you to tell me what to do with my money, And so he was already in this mindset of like being intentional and making investments, like true investments that can give you back rewards. Even though it's not stocks or, that kind of investment, you yourself are an investment. And so he gave me a whole talk on like, you need to be spending your money on better things that are gonna benefit you and your family, and it's not these clothes that you already have a bunch of clothes, you don't need any more clothes. And so that's what kind of really started me. Whenever I got paid or whenever I had money, I would like really think about, man, what am I gonna spend this money on? And so I've honestly spent a lot of money on gutters and irrigation stuff and plants and trees and seeds. Oh, I love seeds. Don't even get me started on seeds. But I'd rather spend my money on that and not doing my hair, dyeing my hair, doing my nails, and staying up with the latest fashion statements. I would rather spend my money on my garden stuff. And so I have a lot of fun doing that. And I'm able to teach my kids. I'm able to share this food with people, and just the joy of having fresh stuff that you're not able to acquire at the store. No matter how fresh they maybe display the food to be. It can never get better than you growing it in your own backyard or front yard, or getting it from somebody who does it in their own home. And so, I don't know, I just find a lot of joy, and I am in awe of what a seed can become and what a fruit tree can produce. And it's kind of that's kind of, it's, I'm able to see a lot of like examples that the Bible has, and it's in perspective for me. Like, if you have a faith like a mustard of seed, you know how small a mustard seed is? It's small. And so, and there's just different, how the Bible relates a lot of farming stuff and a lot of fruit and things of that nature to our life. And so I'm just amazed that God created all these different varieties of stuff, and their health to your body, they're beneficial to you. And I'm just so thankful that I get this opportunity to be able to teach people and share this joy with them. And here are my chickens. I get eggs from them every day, now 9 to 10. When it's really cold, they don't lay that much. So I think I have like 12 chickens. Our first batch of chickens came from what Sammy had incubated, and I think that was like, we got like 8 or 9 from him. And we still have those chickens. I think 1 or 2 might have died, but they're still here. I think they're still laying. But soon there'll be food when they don't lay. And so he's working on giving us another batch that he just incubated. So I'm excited for that. And so I think that's all I have. I wrote some notes down. There's just a lot of people I've learned from, a lot of books I've read, a lot of videos that I've watched, and really not knowing, not one bit, and just working my way up to knowing these different things and how different things work. And I don't know it all still yet. I still have a lot to learn. And the next video I want to make is on irrigation. I'm setting up a legit irrigation system. I want to set up a legit irrigation system here in my house. What I have set up now is from timers running from my water hose spigots. From the spigots, I think that's what they're called. And they're just timers running from that to irrigate my raised beds and my trees. Although my trees are now set up with, most of them, like 20 fruit trees are set up with my washer gray water. And so that's helped a lot. And I'll do a tour on the fruit trees that I have and show you guys my garden beds, and maybe do a video on my greenhouse. Sammy helped me build that, and my husband a little bit. And my kids have joined me along in doing a lot of the stuff. And so even though it's slower when they're involved, it's worth it. They get to learn. And so yeah, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, like Ellie would say. If you like this, follow it. And if you guys have any questions, I'll also be doing a water blanket video, which I learned through a course I was taking, which makes it more efficient for the raised beds to get watered in the plants. And so I'll be making a video of that, because I know people who want to know exactly how to build that step by step. And so it'll be easier to make a video rather than having to explain to each person how to do this water blanket. And so there's different stuff that I plan to show on here as we go. And if any questions rise, please let me know. I'm not sure that I'll be able to answer all of them, but I can research and try to find out to the best of my ability. So that's all for today. God bless you. Goodbye.